let's start with the geopolitics of West Asia. So for half an hour, for 1 hour, just keep listening the things. Okay, you can write few things in bullet points. Otherwise, just keep listening the things. Things are too complex. Okay, might be after the end of lecture you will feel you will feel lot more you will be more confused with what exactly is going on, or so much of complexity prevails. Now, two things. One thing is knowing every issue, and second thing is how much is important from your UPSC point of view. Okay, so the things which I am going to tell you will be more than enough from your examination point of view. Don't try to dig more deeper into these issues. Okay, it took me many years to compile all these things which I'm going to discuss with all of you in 2 hours. Okay, so you don't try to go beyond. Yes, curiosity can be one of the thing, and if you will be curious to know more, you can come to me. I'll recommend you good books, but you should do that activity after your mains. Okay, not while preparing, because there are a lot more things which you have to prepare. We are not sure how many questions will come in the exam from this particular topic, but yes, awareness you should have. Okay, so just keep listening the things with lot of patience. For next 3 lectures, we are going to deal with the West Asian dynamics also. The moment I'll say we are done with the geopolitics, or we are clear, I am done with the whole issues of this region, you will be clear with everything. This I can assure you. Okay, so just keep listening with lot of patience. Even if you'll feel few voids, that will be filled with further information and with subsequent lectures. Because when I'll discuss Israel-Palestine issue, you will have better understanding of the dynamics of this region. Okay, so for the timing, just keep listening the things first. Give me a second, I have to download something. Yes, let's continue. You can see the screen. This is West Asia. You can see the screen or not? No. Now you can. Still not.
हाँ सर आ गया सर
You can. So this is West Asia. These are, so West Asia. If I'll ask you, what are the reasons? All of you are aware of this, that there is a lot of political instability, violence is prevailing within this region. One of the most hostile area to live in the world is West Asia, or one of, or two most dangerous places to live in the world are West Asia and South Asia. The South Asia nuclear weapon states, one very irresponsible, and China communist aggressive. But a lot of violence prevails in West Asia too. So if I'll ask you, what are the reasons for high violence in this region? What you will answer? What do you think? What are the main reasons for high violence in West Asia? You will say religious rivalry. It is religious rivalry. The Shia Sunni rift is the reason for high violence in West Asia. Oil. Okay, Pravina, any other reason? So control over oil is the reason. Kurds. Okay, Rui. So Kurds issue, external interference, US intervention, multiple power centers. Easy to answer, but you are not hitting the crux. What exactly is the reason? Now the division of West Asia is on two lines. Okay. First is the religious lines. That is Islam. The two main sects of Islam are Shias and Sunnis. These are the two main sects. You don't have to be a expert on Islam, just you need to know this much, that there are two sects of Islam. Okay, two major sects, Shias, Sunnis. Okay, world over, majority are Sunni Muslims. In India, majority are Sunnis. India, we have Shias too. Lucknow is the center of Shia culture. Upper reaches of Gilgit-Baltistan, Shias are in majority. In the valley, it is Sunnis. So majority in India are Sunnis. Majority in Pakistan are Sunnis. Majority in Turkey are Sunnis. Indonesia, Sunnis. So world over, majority are Sunnis. After Prophet, who will going to be the leader of Islamic world? So there's a differences. There's a difference in the there's a difference in the opinion of these two sects. Okay, so majority are Sunnis, minority are Shias. But the Shia majority countries are in West Asia, Iran, Iraq. Thank you. हाँ ठीक है, thank you. ठीक है, done. The Shia majority countries are Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen. These are Shia majority states. Shias are in other countries too, but majority are in these countries of West Asia. Kuwait. Okay, these are Shia majority states. Rest all are Sunni majority states. But Shias and Sunnis living in every state of West Asia, either as minorities or as majorities. Okay, rest all are Sunni majority. Egypt is a Sunni majority. These four you can remember as a Shia majority states. Iran is seen as a leader of Shia world. And Saudi Arabia is seen as a leader of Sunni world. So easy to understand the reason for rivalry or conflict between the two big players of West Asia are the religious rift which prevails. Shias should dominate or Sunnis should dominate. Okay. Aspiration of Iran is to have Shia axis in this region. To increase or enhance the influence of Shias within West Asia. Objective of Saudi Arabia is to cut down the Shia axis, contain Iran. Okay. In fact, hatred against the Shias, eliminate Shias. Okay. In Afghanistan, Taliban, follower of Sunni sect of Islam. In fact, funded by Saudi Arabia only. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region of Pakistan, funding from Saudi Arabia. Okay, to instigate Sunni fundamentalism so that they can challenge the Shia Iran. Iran shares boundary with Afghanistan too. So fundamentalist Sunni fundamentalism in Afghan threat for Iran. Okay, so funding from Saudi Arabia in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa supported Pakistan to instigate Sunni fundamentalism in these territories. Right. So leader of Shia world is Iran, leader of Sunni world is Saudi Arabia. The other reason for the division of West Asia is on the basis of ethnicity. Arabs, non-Arabs. Normally students think that the division is only on the religious line. But another big reason for the rift in West Asia is the division on the basis of ethnicity, being Arab and non-Arab. In general, the general perception is Arabs are Muslim. It is wrong perception to hold. Majority Arabs are Muslims. Okay, I gave you earlier a homework, Arab League or Arab Union. All those states who are part of Arab League belongs to Arab world. Okay, they belongs to Arab world. Arab does not mean Muslim. There are Christian Arabs too. Someone who is following Hinduism, living in, let's say, Lebanon or Egypt, will be seen as what? Arab. Arab does not mean Muslim. Islam is a religion. Arab is an ethnicity. The three non-Arab states of West Asia are Iran, Persian Empire, not part of Arab world. Okay, so Naqab is a Persian culture. The dressing sense of Arabs is totally different from the Islamic world or from the Iranian, from those who are living in Iran. That gowns, that which we associate with Arabs, okay, is a clothing of Arabs. They speak Arabic, not Urdu, not Persian. They have different cuisines, Arabic cuisines. Now a Muslim who is living in India, do you think we're going to have any cultural similarity with a Muslim of Arab? No, that's a Sunni Muslim who is living in India. Sunni Bengali will going to have more similarities with a Hindu Bengali, or a Tamil Muslim will have more similarities with a Tamil Hindu. Okay, have nothing to do with the Arabs of West Asia. Okay, so the three non-Arab states of West Asia are Iran, Turkey, Ottoman Empire, not part of Arab world, though Turkey has always nurtured this political ambition of extending its influence in this region. Iran has always nurtured the ambition of expanding its influence in this region. Okay, so Iran, Turkey clash. So non-Arab world, Iran, Turkey. And the third non-Arab state of West Asia is Israel, a state of Jews. And Jews are not seen as part of Arab world. Majority Arabs are Muslims. Hatred against Jews. Okay, hatred against Jews, having different religion altogether. Now the claim of the Jews is their ancestors used to live in these territories only. They are part of Arab world. The claim not acceptable to whom? Arabs. So hatred against Jews because they are not seen as part of Arab world. So even so, irrespective of religiosity, whether Shia Arab or a Sunni Arab will have hatred against the Jews because they are not seen as part of Arab world. The land of Palestine was the part of Ottoman Empire, and Jews, according to Jews, our ancestors used to live in the land of Palestine only. Under Roman persecution, बताऊंगा बाद में कल. Under Roman persecution, they fled. One of the most persecuted minority in the world is Jews. First from Christians, hatred against Judaism. Then from Islamic world. Okay, clash between Islam and Judaism. So ये religious rivalries है, in details ना मुझे कभी समझ आई है ना आपको समझने की जरूरत है. These three are Abrahamic religions. ठीक है, मैं टर्की भी गया था तो मैंने कोशिश करी समझने की, बड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है. ठीक है, you can't understand what exactly are the reasons they consider themselves as the ancestors of evils. They consider Jews as evils. All the problems in West Asia, whether famine or a drought, is because of the Jews only. Okay, so deep-rooted hatred prevails against Jews, and Jews are not seen as part of Arab world. So according to Jews, our ancestors used to live in Palestine. But under Roman persecution, we fled to Europe and US, and many Jews came to India only. It was recently in the Israeli parliament, a minister said, world over we have faced the persecution. Wherever we went, people used violence against us except India. Okay, we have never, there is no single incident of violence against Jews in India. So, Israel, not seen as part of Arab world. Jews claim we belong to Arab world. And fourth, Kurds. Kurds are also not seen as part of Arab world. Reason for hatred against Kurds. Kurds by religion. Now Jews by religion are follower of Judaism, but Kurds by religion are follower of Sunni sect of Islam. Despite they being Sunnis, they are not seen as part of Arab world. So Sunnis will use violence against Kurds? Yes. Because they are not seen as part of Arab world. Hatred against Kurds. You don't belong to these lands. Okay. They are, so the Kurds are bit liberal also. Their language is Kurdish, not Arabic. Their language is different. Their cuisines is different. Their attire is different. So they are not acceptable to Arabs as part of Arab world. This so roots of the issue lies in the ethnicity of Kurds, as they are not seen as part of Arab world. Okay, so these four, other than these four, rest all states are part of Arab world. Kuwait, Saudi, Qatar, Oman, Yemen, Lebanon, and Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, African states are also part of Arab world. Sudan, part of Arab world. They consider themselves as Arabs. Just right. Egypt used to be seen as the leader of Arab world. Egypt used to be seen as the leader of Arab world. Okay, later when I'll make you right, I'll tell you, according to many critics, Nehru projected himself more Arab than Arabs themselves. Remember the policy of hyphenation of India towards Arab? Okay, so Nehru tried to project himself more Arabs than Arabs themselves. What it means exactly, you will come to know later. So Egypt used to be seen as the leader of Arab world. Nasser stood for the unity of Arab world, and Nehru, one of the closest friend of Nasser under NAM. I hope you remember the name of Nasser. Okay. So division of West Asia is on two lines: religion and ethnicity. Now, two main sects are Shias, Sunnis. Within Sunni, there it is possible we can have liberal Sunnis, secular Sunnis. But within Sunnis, there's a fundamentalist version of Sunnis, that is Wahhabis or Wahhabism. Salafism, Wahhabism. So Talibani fighters were indoctrinated in this ideology with the help of Saudi from Pakistan. Salafis, Wahhabis. You can write it is a fundamentalist version of Islam. So Wahhabis are Sunnis. They want to revive the purest form of Islam. They want to create caliphate, land of Islam, where only laws of Sharia needs to be followed. Dying for Allah to achieve this goal is their biggest inspiration. Even if we have to die to achieve this goal, we'll get Jannat. Okay. So Wahhabis, fundamentalist version of Islam. Don't you think Wahhabis will not? They will not, or they will be fine in using violence against liberal Sunnis who will hinder in achieving their objective of caliphate? Yes. So there's a lot of violence going on between Wahhabis and Sunnis itself. Wahhabis are violent fundamentalists, and violent fundamentalism is equivalent to terrorism. They wants to create this caliphate, and they want everyone to follow the laws of Sharia. Okay, a fundamentalist version of Islam. Followers of Wahhabism are Islamic State. They have a belief on the ideology of Wahhabism. Al-Qaeda, Taliban. Though objective of Taliban is the political control of Afghanistan, and Islamic State came up with a much wider objective of a caliphate from West Asia till South Asia. And Hamas. Now, those who are not aware about Hamas and all, don't worry at all. And Hamas. These are followers of Salafi Wahhabi sect of Islam. And after 9/11, US started painting all these organizations with the same brush. US painted all with the same brush, that all are threat for world peace. They are against a liberal world order because they want to impose what? The fundamentalist version of Islam. They are anti-minorities. They expect everyone who will live under their control should follow their version of Islam. That's why they are against a liberal world order. So anyone who will support the Wahhabist ideology or fund Wahhabism will be seen as a supporter of terrorism. Okay. Now you'll be amazed to know Wahhabism as an ideology, Salafism, Wahhabism as an ideology emerged from Saudi Arabia. अगर ये नहीं भी बताऊंगा तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, फिर भी जान लो. It emerged from Saudi. Medieval history. The monarchs of Saudi wanted to spread their version of, wanted to spread this version of Islam in West Asia, and they wanted to project themselves as Khalifa of these lands. They wanted to spread this version. Okay, so they started funding Wahhabism, Salafism in West Asia. So they wanted to spread this version of Islam in West Asia, and their aspiration was to project themselves as Khalifa. For this purpose, they created an army of Ikhwans, okay, who used to wear black dresses with black robes, and they used to ride horses with swords in their hands. So you can understand Wahhabism as an ideology is propagated. It has propagated through what? If US is, when we say if promotion of democracy on gunpoint should not be acceptable, so they purported this, they tried to spread this ideology through the tip of the sword. Okay, so if you'll see Christianity and this version of Islam being spread through violence. Okay, these religions being spread in the world through lot of violence imposed on people. They never wanted to follow them, but indoctrinated them either by giving, but by a lot of threats. So they created an army of Ikhwans to spread Wahhabism in West Asia. This Ikhwan spirit, who tried to revive this Ikhwan spirit in the present or in the contemporary world? Islamic State. And Baghdadi projected himself as Khalifa. That's why you can see the fighters of Islamic State wearing black dresses with black robes. Okay, with black flags in their hand and quotes written in Arabic. So Baghdadi tried to revive this Ikhwan spirit in West Asia, and he projected himself as Khalifa of these lands. So it emerged from Saudi Arabia, and presently US government needs the support of Saudi monarchy to keep Wahhabism in check. इतनी बात समझ आई? Now, in Iran, after the end of Second World War, Shah came to power. The autocratic ruler of Iran, Shah, came to power. Shah was pro-West. In fact, it was CIA who brought him into power through coup. So who suppressed democracy in Iran? West. You will come to know this. Who suppressed democracy in Iran? US, because Shah was pro-West. Till the time ruler were pro-West, US did nothing. The moment the ruler turned anti-West, US tried to intervene in the internal affairs of other states on the name of democracy. Remember CENTO alliance? Under CENTO, Iran was an ally of US? Yes, because Iran at that time was under the control of Shah, and Shah was pro-West. Okay. Dynamics of this region change. Iranian Revolution 1979. Shia fundamentalist came to power. As Iran was pro-West earlier, till the time Shah was in power, Shah was pursuing pro-West policies. This turned the fundamentalist against the policies of Shah. He was trying to westernize the society. So this turned the fundamentalist of Iran against Shah. Revolution took place under Khomeini. Khomeini was in exile at that time. He came back and acquired the political control, and fundamentalists came to power in Iran. And once fundamentalists came to power in Iran, start of US-Iran tensions, as fundamentalists were anti-West. Anti-West. US-Iran tensions. Even because Shah fled to US, and these fundamentalists took many American diplomats, and so there was a hostage crisis within Iran. So entered into the US embassy and brought many US diplomats and officers under the, so so they so they brought them, so they bring them under their control. This led to what? The hostage crisis within Iran. So a lot of pressure from US to release the US diplomats. Okay, and their demand was send the Shah back to the country, and we need to frame charges against Shah for his policies for suppression during the revolt, as lot of violence being used by Shah against the protesters. So this led to the hostage crisis within Iran, okay, which ended after tough negotiations. So start of tensions between US and Iran after 1979 Iranian Revolution. This was the time when CENTO was dissolved. Okay, as Iran turned anti-US. Pakistan already came out of CENTO 3-4 years back, and CENTO was dissolved in 79 Iranian Revolution. Iraq is a Shia majority state, but Saddam Hussein was in power. Baath Party was in power, and Saddam by religion was a follower of a Sunni sect. Sunnis were in power, while in the country there are Shia majority people. More in administration, more in bureaucracy, senior positions in army were under the control of Sunnis. So Sunnis controlling the majority Shia Iraq. Now, as Shia fundamentalists came to power in Iran, this was a threat for whom? Saddam Hussein, that they can instigate the similar movement within my country, and Shias will try to acquire power in Iraq too. Biggest reason for Iran-Iraq war, 1980, Iran-Iraq war started. This was the reason, okay? Iran-Iraq war. Saddam laid down the claim over the few territories of Iran. These were the oil-rich territories. Saddam claimed that these territories belongs to Arab world. They should be under our control. Till the time Shah was in power, Saddam did nothing. The reason was a Shia fundamentalist came to power. This was the real reason for Iran-Iraq war. Now, Saddam was fighting against whom? The Shia fundamentalist. He was, till the time Saddam is here, Shia fundamentalists can't fulfill the aspiration of having a Shia axis in this region. And Saddam was keeping the Shias of Iraq also under its control. So the reason why Saudi supported Saddam Hussein. So US and Saudi Arabia gave a lot of funding and weapons to Saddam Hussein during this war. Saddam used to be the darling of the West because he was serving the interest of the West till this time. Saddam was not a terrorist or a threat for world peace because he was serving the interest of the West during this particular time. Okay, so a lot of funding and weapons were given to Saddam Hussein during Iran-Iraq war. But both parties failed to achieve anything even after 10 years, 1989. Okay, there was a deadlock prevailing. Increased the political profile of Iran that despite Western support, Saddam failed to defeat Iran. Okay, so Iran established himself again as a major player of West Asia. That despite the regional support from Saudi and West, Iran failed to achieve its objective. Iraq failed to acquire Iraq failed to push the forces of Iran back and acquire the territories which Saddam was looking forward to. Okay, Iran protected every inch of its territory, increased the political profile of Iran in this region. Now, this war proved very costly for Saddam. Already a Shia majority state, economic hardships increased. So protest erupted within Iraq. Okay. Now Saddam was looking forward for what? Growth. And this war drained Iraq like anything. The reason why Saddam invaded oil-rich monarchy of Kuwait again citing historical claims, Kuwait belongs to Iraq, and I am just taking it back. Political aspirations of Saddam increased, and Saddam invaded Kuwait, a oil-rich monarchy. First time UN Security Collective Security Resolution was passed, and first time NATO forces entered into Kuwait. NATO and the US forces, or the forces of 32 countries, pushed the forces of Iraq back. Now, one reason was, once Saddam invaded Kuwait, invasion over Kuwait was the biggest threat for Saudi monarchy. That political aspiration of Saddam has increased, and any day Saddam can enter into Saudi Arabia too. This was the time, 1989. Other than this, invasion over Kuwait, which was a threat for Saudi, which is the closest ally of US, Saddam started doing something. Just write something, because I can't tell you that thing for the time being. Saddam also started doing something which was a direct threat for West and US. This was the time when West turned against Saddam Hussein. Okay, so one, invasion over Kuwait, and other than this, Saddam started doing something which was a direct threat for Israel, another closest ally of West. So invasion over Kuwait and that act which was a threat for Israel was a threat for the two closest allies of West, that is Saudi and Israel. This was the time when West turned against Saddam. Okay, that Saddam has invaded a sovereign state, showing aggression. Okay, so threat for world peace. Saddam was pushed back. So first Gulf War took place there. But Saddam somehow was able to protect its power. So 79, Shia fundamentalist. Now 2001, dynamics change. 9/11. Sorry, 2001, 9/11 invasion over US started global war against terror. Invasion in Afghanistan, and 2003 invasion over Iraq. Okay, Saddam lost the political control, and Shias came to power in Iraq. Power was given to Shias. That's why Shias of Iraq saw NATO forces as liberators who are freeing Iraq from the authoritarian regime of Saddam Hussein, which has used lot of violence against the Shias. ध्यान से देखो इधर. In these territories of Iraq, this is the most oil-rich region of Iraq. Kurds are living. Kurds are Sunnis by religion, but not seen as part of Arab world. Saddam hated against Kurds despite being the follower of Sunni sect of Islam. Saddam conducted genocide of Kurds under its program of Arabization, because Saddam wanted to displace the Kurds from these regions, and Saddam wanted to settle whom? Sunni Arabs in this region, because Kurds were demanding autonomy, and demand of Kurds for autonomy was a threat for Saddam, as these are the most oil-rich region of Iraq. So one thing, Saddam invaded Kuwait. Other thing, Saddam conducted genocide. Kurds are the people of citizens of Iraq only. State-sponsored violence, terrorism, genocide. That's why US there was a case against Saddam Hussein in a special court proceedings took place against Saddam, and they decided to give death punishment to Saddam. You all know that, the reason being the genocide of Kurds, crime against humanity. And third thing, Saddam did something which was threatening Israel. So 2003, US blamed Saddam for supporting whom? Al-Qaeda. US blamed Saddam for funding Wahhabism within this region. Now, support to Wahhabism is seen as support to terrorism. Saddam running a terrorist regime, a rogue state. Okay. And US said Saddam is trying to acquire weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction, or a nuclear weapon in the hand of if it would have come in the hands of Saddam Hussein, it it it, it would have been a existential threat for Israel. Israel can't afford to see. We'll tell you why. Existential threat for Israel if Saddam would have acquired a nuclear weapon. Okay. So West projected Saddam is trying to acquire weapons of mass destruction, threat for world peace, already running a rogue state. So West tried to justify its intervention in Iraq. Though US brought the resolution, I told you many times, resolution in Security Council, which was defeated, and later in General Assembly also, which was defeated. Despite the resolutions were defeated twice, it was a unilateral action of US to invade Iraq. Not even a single trace of any weapon was found till date. That's why for many Arabs, Saddam was a nationalist, not ready to bow down against the dictates of West. He nationalized the oil wells. He was not allowing the companies of US and Britain to get access of its oil resources. The reason they have took action against Saddam Hussein. Now they invaded Iraq and they brought whom into power? Shias. This Shia leadership of Iraq is pro-US, which according to many Arabs is the puppet of the West. This Shia government is pro-US and it is seen as the puppet of the West. So Kurds are still living in this region, and this is the oil-rich region of Iraq. So violence against Kurds because they are not seen as part of Arab world. Despite Saddam being a Sunni leader, Saddam, Sunni Arab. Saddam stood for what? Arab unity, strong Arab nationalist. So for many, Saddam was a nationalist, not a terrorist, who stood for the unity of Arab world, who gave his life for Arabs. So anti-Shia regime in Iran, anti-West regime in Iran, Shia fundamentalist, and pro-US government of Shias in Iraq. Now listen very carefully. Iran wants to bring pro-Iranian faction of Shias in power within Iraq. Iran wants to bring pro-Iranian faction of Shias in Iraq. Recently, a protest in front of Iraqi embassy, according to Iraq, instigated by Iran. So Iran wants to bring pro-Shia faction, pro-Iranian faction of Shias in power within Iraq, wants to topple this government. Who was trying to do all these things? General Qasim Soleimani. The reason for his assassination. Okay. Islamic State will tell you, US was fighting against Islamic State. IS with follower of the ideology of Wahhabism, threat for Iran too. So both Iran, so NATO generals and Qasim Soleimani, Iranian forces and the NATO forces, they were in cooperation till the time they were fighting against IS. Even they cooperated with the Iranian forces, with the Iranian general Qasim Soleimani in Afghanistan as they were fighting against the Taliban. But US now wants to come out of Taliban, Afghanistan. You all know that. US is ready to negotiate peace with Taliban, and Islamic State in West Asia is by and large defeated. And Qasim Soleimani was trying to bring whom in power? Pro-Iranian faction in power. That's why assassination of Qasim Soleimani. Okay. Because if Iran will able to bring pro-Iranian faction in Iraq, Iran will able to create what? Shia axis in this region. If Iran will able to bring pro-Iranian faction of Shias in power in Iraq, Iran will succeed in creating Shia axis in West Asia, which will undermine the influence of Saudi Arabia. These are the, we'll discuss this later. These are the Kurdish areas of West Asia where Kurds are in majority. Majority of the Kurds are in Turkey. This Kirkuk Irbil region of Iraq is the area where Kurds are in majority. And Kurds are, so there's a political outfit of Kurds itself with the name what? KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government. So these provinces of Kurds are being governed by whom? KRG. And this KRG, this political entity KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government, they have their own armed forces too with the name Peshmerga. So Peshmerga are the Kurdish forces, okay, which are governing the territories of, which are governing these territories of Kurds within Iraq. Peshmerga. Okay. It's an armed wing of KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government. So Kurds are in Syria, Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. Okay. So there are various political militias in West Asia. Few militias are being recognized by the states of West Asia. Few are not having recognition. What we mean by militia? Militia is a political party having their own armed wing. In a state, there are always national armies. It is not like BJP, Congress, Sappa, Basappa all have their own armies. Okay. Armed outfits who is using violence during elections. But we have seen this in India. We have seen this, that they do have violent goons with them who use violence to influence the elections. That's why we are in pseudo democracy. Okay, in Germany, Nazi having its own armed wing. So there are various militias. The three important militias of West Asia are, you can write, Hamas is a political militia, armed wing of Palestinians. Hamas, a political outfit also, but having its own army. Then Hezbollah, political outfit with an armed wing. Then KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government, with its own armed wing, Peshmerga. But KRG have a recognition from the government of Iraq. Which government gave them recognition? The new government which came to power in 2003 once Saddam lost the political control. Okay. Once Saddam lost the political control. So can we have diplomatic ties with KRG leadership? Can we have, is it fine if we'll have a diplomatic ties with KRG leadership? Yes, because they have a political recognition from whom? From the government of Iraq. Lebanon, Asim, Lebanon. Hezbollah is in Lebanon. ठीक है, सो अब तक यहां पर बात हुई शियास फंडामेंटलिस्ट इन पावर, एंटी वेस्ट. Okay, Iraq was under the control of the Sunnis. It has came under the control of Shias since 2003, but these Shias are pro-West, and Iran wants pro-Iranian faction into power within Iraq. Kurds are here. Present control of these territories is under the control of KRG leadership. Okay. Now fast forwarding the things for all of you and taking you to the, and let's jump to the Arab Spring 2011, which changed the dynamics of this region. When Arab Spring started from Tunisia, okay, lot of hope emerged that now democracies will usher, because people have, this movement is led, so it's a people's movement who have finally decided that they will not going to tolerate these these dictatorial regimes or pseudo leaders who are being controlled by the West. And now strong, vibrant democracies will usher in West Asia. But suddenly, despite lot of hope, never vibrant democracy has emerged. So when Arab Spring started, don't you think it was a threat for the monarchy of Saudi too? Yes, but somehow they able to push away this protester from their own country. Now, what all the main conflict which started during Arab Spring was in Syria. Now, Syria, under the control of Assad, Bashar al-Assad, Assad projects democracy but controls, but there is no vibrant democracy as such in Syria. Okay, a authoritarian leader of Syria, follower of the sect called Alawite, which is closer to which is closer to the Shia sect. So Assad, follower of Shia sect. Okay, so follower of Shia sect, Alawite. So the protest movement started against Assad because majority in administration or power is in the control of Shias, which is a Sunni majority country. Okay, so opposite situation was prevailing in Syria. If we compare between Iraq and Syria, in Iraq, Shias were in majority, but power was concentrated in the hands of Sunnis. But in Syria, Sunnis are in majority and power concentrated in the hands of Shias. Till the time Saddam was here, Iran was not able to directly reach out to Syria. So cut down of the Shia axis till the time Saddam was in power. So Syrian Sunnis started a violent struggle against the forces of Assad. And Assad is not a democratically elected leader, running an authoritarian regime within Syria. So that's why the struggle of rebels will be seen as what? A freedom struggle, fighting for their freedom against a dictatorship. But Assad is a strategic ally of Russia, as Assad has given military bases to Russia within Syria, naval access also to Russia in Syria, which is very important for Russia to keep the threat of NATO away from itself and to have its access in Mediterranean Sea. If you'll see the geography, you'll be able to understand that. Okay. So Assad is a strategic ally of Russia. Requires military bases here so that so that Russia can have access till Mediterranean. So when the violent struggle started by the rebels against Assad, US came in support of the rebels on the name of protection of democracy. As Assad anti-West, pro-Russia. The reason was this: not protection of democracy. If you are so serious towards democracy, why you are not pushing democracy in Saudi? Because monarchs are pro-US. As simple as this. Everyone understands, those who are aware of these issues. Okay, and Russia rebels made rapid strides. Lot of huge chunk of territory of Syria came under the control of whom? Rebels. And Russia jumped into this conflict on behalf of Assad. Okay, on behalf of Assad, to protect its strategic interest, gave air power to Iran. Strong regional players started supporting Assad to protect its what? Shia axis. And Lebanon, Hezbollah, strong allegiance, Hezbollah leadership, strong allegiance towards Iran. They consider the religious spiritual leader of Iran, Khomeini, as their own religious spiritual leader. Okay, so they have a full commitment. They have a allegiance towards Iranian leadership. Whatever they will decide, they will going to follow. Okay, they consider the spiritual leader of Iran as their own spiritual leader. So Hezbollah started supporting the forces of Assad against rebel to protect the Shia axis and allegiance towards Iran. So Iran gave a lot of weapons to Hezbollah, who wants to keep the influence of Shias intact in this region. And Saudi Arabia started supporting rebels. You can understand Shia-Sunni rift to cut down the influence of Shias in this region. And Turkey, being a NATO ally with the aspiration to increase its influence in West Asia, jumped into this conflict on behalf of rebels. Okay. So this kind of situation emerged in this region around 1213, when different parties started supporting different factions, which increased the violence. In this backdrop, अब बहुत ध्यान से सुनो. In this backdrop, now the Arabs of Iraq lost the political control. Sunni Arabs, they were in power. They lost the control because of whom? Because of the US invasion. All this protest movement and high violence led to political instability in this region. Yes, this led to the emergence of Islamic State in this region. Islamic State is an organization created by whom? Sunni Arabs, to regain the political control of the territories which they lost. It belongs to us. So Islamic State was formed, and its leader, Baghdadi, projected himself as Khalifa of these lands. Earlier political aspiration was to control the territories of Iraq and Syria. This was the political aspiration earlier when it was created. So erstwhile generals of Saddam Hussein joined Islamic State. They started training fighters. Whom? Sunni Arabs. Okay, they created a hierarchy of administration too, with Baghdadi as Khalifa. So first, ध्यान से सुनो, first front they open against whom? Kurds of Iraq. Hatred against Kurds? Oil-rich region of Iraq? Kurds not seen as part of Arab world? Yes. So first front they started against whom? The Kurds of Iraq. So first assault was faced by whom? Kurds, from the fighters of Islamic State. And simultaneously they opened the front against whom? The Shia forces of Iraq. How come how you acquire the power? Power belongs to us. You are the puppets of US only. So simultaneously they opened the front against the Shias of Iraq. And the aspiration was to acquire the territories of Iraq and Syria. And simultaneously IS started fighting war with the forces of Assad in this region. क्या बोला मैंने? They started war with whom? Kurds, with the government of Iraq, and with the forces of Assad to acquire the territories of Iraq and Syria. Now you can see IS, Sunni Arabs, started war with whom? The Shias of this region. Saudi started supporting Islamic State. Various elite sections of Saudi came in support of Islamic State. Lot of funding started they giving to whom? Islamic State. Also, Kurdish region of Iraq is the oil-rich region. So the oil-rich region of Iraq came under the control of whom? Islamic State. They started black marketing of oil in the world. That's how a lot of money came under the control of whom? Islamic State. But black marketing of oil led to sharp decline in the oil prices in the world. 2014, Modi came to power in India. That time, oil prices were all-time low. Modi said, see, because of me. He has nothing to do in that. It was because of Islamic State, who were involved in the black marketing, which led to sharp decline of oil prices. Sharp decline of oil prices started hurting the economy of Saudi Arabia itself. Okay, one of the major revenue for Saudi is oil export. So oil price decline in oil prices started hurting economy of Saudi. Also, so there was a pressure from OPEC on monarchy, do anything but cut down all kind of support for Islamic State. Okay. Now, third thing, aspiration of Baghdadi was increasing. His aspiration was to project himself as Khalifa of these lands. Now, his objective of projecting himself as a Khalifa is a existential threat for the monarchs of Saudi or not? They want to protect what? Their political power. And Baghdadi wants to acquire the control of the lands of Arabs because Saudi Arabia is a Arabic state. So probably, do you think he will not assassinate the monarchs of Saudi? Yes, he will. Fourth thing, which really increased the threat for the monarchy of Saudi was, ध्यान से सुनना, rebels, Syrian rebels who are Sunni Arabs were fighting against a so-called Shia sect, and they are Arabs too. Assad is an Arab leader. So war started between them. So Arabs fighting with each other. Arabs fighting with each other. All Syrians are Arabs, irrespective of whatever religion they are following. There are Christians too in Syria, so they are Christian Arabs. But this conflict was between whom? Shia Arabs and Sunni Arabs. But Arabs fighting with each other? Yes. Shia Arabs getting support from Russia, Iran, Hezbollah. And they were getting the support from US, Saudi Arabia, Turkey. Political instability led to the establishment of Islamic State. Their objective was to acquire the territories of Iraq and Syria. So first assault, they started against the government of Iraq. So Shia forces of Iraq in war with Islamic State. Then they started a war with whom? The Kurdish forces, Peshmerga. Third, they started a war with whom? The forces of Assad. But the political aspiration of Baghdadi was increasing, and this brought them in conflict with the Syrian rebels too. The moment they started fighting with Syrian rebels also, Saudi felt Islamic State can use violence against whom? Sunni Arabs too. So why they will resist in using violence against us? समझ आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा, या ऊपर से जा रहा है?
सर एक बार फिर से एक्सप्लेन कीजिए सर.
हाँ, सब करता हूँ यार.
बाउंस हो गया.
Will. Don't worry. That's why I'm going this slow. UPSC will not going to ask you write about the geopolitical dimensions of Syria. In all of this mess, where is India? Nowhere. So you can breathe easy. But it is important for you to explain all these things to have an understanding. और आपका तो pol science optional है, because पता होना चाहिए ये बातें. What I said is, Islamic State opened multiple battlefronts. First front they opened against whom? The government of Iraq, which is under the control of Shias. But they see them as puppet of the West. Second front they open against Assad. As Islamic State started war against whom? Shias. Saudi supported them. But they also started a war against whom? Sunni rebels. objective of Sunni rebels was what? Political control of Syria. And objective of Islamic State is what? Acquire the territories of Syria. This brought rebels in conflict with whom? Islamic State. Okay. And Islamic State projected what? We are fighting for caliphate. We want to carve out a caliphate, a land where laws of Allah will be followed. Okay. So Saudi realized if Islamic State can use violence against Sunni Arabs too, they can use violence against us also. Already oil prices were coming down. This was hurting the economy of Saudi. Also, there was who was supporting these rebels? Saudi Arabia. And they started war with them only. Saudi's aspiration is what? Monarchy की aspiration क्या है? हमारा political control रहना चाहिए Saudi पर. यहाँ पर Sunnis आ जाए और Islamic State, even if they will acquire few territories of Iraq, we don't have any issue in that. But they started projecting what? Caliphate in the whole of West Asia. How can I'll support you till the time you will not hurt my interest? The moment you will hinder my interest, I am going to pull down my support. This is geopolitics, not religion. So as Islamic State started fighting a war with rebels, Saudi decided to cut down all support for Islamic State. Now, they were fighting against the government of Iraq or with the forces of Iraq. Iran started supporting the forces of Iraq in their war against Islamic State. Islamic State is a threat for Shias. They started war against rebels. So they started war against the forces of Assad. Who was supporting the forces of Assad? Russia. So for Islamic State, Russia is a enemy. Russia supports that faction which is fighting against us. So indirectly, this brought ISIS in war against whom? One of the major player, one of the strong power, and one of the strongest regional player. This brought Islamic State in war against these two major players. Other regional player decided to cut down all its support for Islamic State. Third front they opened against whom? Kurds. Kurdish forces, Peshmerga, and rebels. Rebels were getting the support from superpower. As Islamic State has opened multiple battlefronts indirectly against superpowers, this led to the defeat of Islamic State. When they started war against Kurds, Peshmerga, US came in support of Kurdish forces in their war against Islamic State. So US used Kurds to defeat Islamic State. Now, when NATO invaded Iraq way back in 2003, and they started a war against the forces of Saddam Hussein, Kurdish forces, Peshmerga forces, on ground, battle was fought by whom? Kurdish forces. And who gave military support to them? West, US. So Kurds fought with the forces of Saddam with the support of the West. This at that time increased the political profile of Kurds. And West promised Kurds autonomy in the new constitution of Iraq once Saddam will be defeated. The reason why Kurds supported West in their war against Saddam Hussein. But once power came into the hands of Shias, and once the new constitution was framed in Iraq after 2003, the promise which was given to the Kurds was not being met. What was the promise given? Whatever the promise was given to the Kurds of Iraq, that under the new constitution of Iraq will give you a lot of autonomy, was not being met. Okay, once the new government came to power. But meanwhile, Arab Spring led to the emergence of Islamic State, and again, Islamic State started assault against Kurds. So they took the help of the West to defeat Islamic State, because the aspiration of Kurds is to have a political control of these territories. Aspiration of KRG is this. All these things were going on. Okay. The support of support to Kurds by US escalated tensions between US and Turkey. Because Kurdish nationalism is a territorial threat or is a threat for the integrity and sovereignty of Turkey. Because Kurds in Turkey are Kurds in Turkey are aspiring for a sovereign state of their own. Kurdish nationalism is a threat for Turkey. There are two types of Kurdish parties in this region. One are moderates, other are extremists. Moderates are aspiring for autonomy, extremists are aspiring for independence. And extremist Kurdish parties are seen as terrorist by these states. So US support to Kurds in this region led to the escalation of tensions between US and Turkey. Now, Kurds are not only in Iraq, Kurds are also living in Syria. मैंने आपको भी मैप दिखाया था. Syrian Kurds. Those are Iraqi Kurds, Syrian Kurds. Islamic State, hatred against Kurds. So Islamic State, fifth battlefront they opened against Syrian Kurds too. They started violence against the Syrian Kurds too. And US supported the Syrian Kurds in their war against Islamic State. US supported Syrian Kurds in their war against Islamic State. But here comes the master stroke from Putin. Earlier rebels made rapid strides and acquires lot of control over the Syrian territories. Now, if I'll tell you what is the present status of this region, Syria is under the control of Assad. Who is having the control over the Kurdish territories of Iraq? KRG. Who is in power within Iraq? Shias. IS has been defeated and pro-Shia faction at present is in power within Iraq. And aspiration of Iran is to bring pro-Iranian faction. Okay, pro-Iranian faction into power within Iraq. So important for you to know is what are the reasons for tensions between US and Iran. So one reason for tension between US and Iran is Iran's aspiration to bring pro-Iranian faction into power within Iraq. Another reason of tension, Iran supported Assad, which is seen by US as a dictatorial regime. But it's a strategic ally of Russia. अब बहुत ध्यान से सुनो. So US started supporting the Syrian Kurds also. But aspiration of US was, I am giving support to defeat Islamic State. And Assad offered peace deal. Assad offered a peace deal. To whom? Syrian Kurds. And promised autonomy once stability will attained within Syria. Promised autonomy to the Syrian Kurds. Okay, once things will be normal, once I'll able to retain the control, once power will remain in my hand, then I'm going to offer you autonomy. So a deal was done by Assad with the Syrian Kurds, but support me in this particular war against rebels. So Syrian forces joined hand with the forces of Assad to defeat rebels. Rebels are Sunni Arabs, hatred against the Syrian Kurds. Riya, samajh rahe ho ya nahi? Now, these rebels were getting the support from whom? US. But US was supporting rebels in their war against whom? The forces of Assad. US was giving support to whom? Weapons to whom? Kurds. But US gave them weapons to fight against whom? Islamic State. Assad used these weapons of US, or you can say Russia used these weapons of US to defeat rebels. Master stroke of Putin. US was giving weapons to whom? Rebels. But the objective of US giving weapons to rebels was what? Defeat Assad and took the political control and follow pro-US policies. US gave weapons to Kurds of Syria, but Kurds of Syria to defeat whom? Islamic State. These Assad signed a peace deal with these Kurds, and these weapons used by Assad to defeat whom? Rebels. That's why US has failed to achieve its objective, and US decided withdrawal from Syria. When Russia, अब आपको ये सब ignore भी कर सकते हो आप. When Russia entered into this region, when Russia came here, rebels were about to acquire the political victory with the support of US. So Russia came here with the objective of what? Protect the regime of Assad. US came here to bring whom into power? Rebels into power. But right now power is in the hands of whom? Assad. So who is able to fulfill its political objective? Russia. US has failed to fulfill its objective. US hegemony is under threat. US withdrawal from Taliban and given more control to whom there? Russia. Who has acquired more control here? In Syria, Russia after Arab Spring. अब समझ आया? एक तो आप लोग वीडियोस में कितनी बार कहूं आप लोगों को, मुझे कैसे पता आप लोगों के क्या एक्सप्रेशंस हैं, क्या नहीं है, क्या हो रहा है, आपको समझ आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? मेरे को टेंशन है इस बात की, आपको समझ आ रहा है या नहीं. पहले ही 8-10 लोग आते हो, उसमें से 5-7 लोग वीडियो ऑन करते हो, वो आप लोग तो कर ही लेते हो. व्हाट अबाउट अदर्स?
Sir, it's a bit confusing.
हाँ Rui, I can, and I first I started lecture with this statement only. You will be very confused. I said this, na? Because dynamics are like this, so you can understand how complex the dynamics are. It is not important for you to cram all these things, but you need to understand. Now, if someone will ask you, what are the reasons for US-Iran tensions? Why Islamic State defeated? Though it's history now, but reason for the defeat of Islamic is what? What about others? Why others are not just switch on your videos? Why you keep your videos off? आंख मिला के बात करोगे तो मैं आपको ज्यादा बेटर समझा पाऊंगा. आपके कंफ्यूजन क्या है मेरे को पता तो तभी चलेगा ना. आपको समझ आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Okay, so who has failed to achieve its political objectives here? US. US superpower is under threat. Putin has outsmarted US in Syria too. So who has acquired more control here? Russia. Ab dhyan se suno. So support to Kurds in this region has led to tensions between whom? US and Turkey. Turkey has realized now Turkey wants to keep the threat of Kurdish nationalism in check, because Kurdish nationalism is a threat for the integrity of Turkey, and Turkey has realized who has acquired the better control over Syria? Russia. Assad is not going anywhere, and who can keep the Syrian Kurds in check? Assad. That's why tilt of Turkey towards Russia and the rift in NATO. So Russia is able to bring a rift in NATO alliance as Turkey is drifting towards Russia, and the location of Turkey is very important, and Turkey now wants installation of S-400, and installation of S-400 in this region is a security threat for NATO forces, as sensitive data can go into the hands of Russia. That's why US threatened Turkey with sanctions if Turkey will go for the deal of S-400, and Turkey is crying hard why you are not putting sanctions on India, as India is also going for S-400 deal with Russia. But Russian weapons in the hands of India is not a threat for NATO. But Russian weapons in the hand of Turkey is a threat for NATO, especially S-400. Okay, that's why US has decided to keep Turkey out of the program of F-35 fighter aircraft. clear this much or not?
सर वो लास्ट वाला पार्ट एक बार वापस बताएंगे सर?
लास्ट
वो
क्या?
टर्की सर, वो
पहले
अगेंस्ट कैसे
वीडियो
गया
क्यों नहीं ऑन
यूएस?
करता अपना, पहले ये बता मुझे।
मेरा ऑन है सर, वीडियो
आदित्य,
ऑन है सर।
अच्छा, आदित्य बोल रहा है।
यस सर।
ओके,
सर
लगा
वो
Asim is saying.
नहीं सर, सर वो लास्ट वाला पार्ट जिसमें टर्की वर्सेस मतलब अगेंस्ट कैसे चले गया यूएस के?
Now at present, who is in power here? Assad in Syria?
Yes,
And
sir.
whose influence has increased in this region? Assad is under the control of whom? Rather than
Russia.
saying control means who have a better influence over Assad? Russia. And Russia, Assad is having Syrian Kurds are here. Kurds are here. Syrian Kurds. Who can better control Syrian Kurds so that these Kurds should not support the Kurds of Turkey? Who can better do this?
Russia, Assad.
Russia है ना Assad. So that's what the
Yes,
tilt
sir.
of Turkey, because US तो vacate कर रहा है यहाँ से. US has announced what? Withdrawal from Syria. Okay, and Turkey's aspiration is now what? Project himself as the leader of Muslim world. That's why Turkey has always supported Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir. After the abrogation of 370, few countries have criticized India, and one of the countries, Turkey under Erdogan. According to India, it's our internal affair. India has resisted in intervening in these issues because the stand of the government of India is your internal issues. But I'm not sure how much of you are aware. Turkey invaded Syria recently, and Turkey invaded in these territories. Turkish forces entered into these territories because Turkey wants to create a buffer. Turkey wants to have a presence here. Turkey wants to create a buffer between Syria and Turkey to push the Kurds away from this region, because Turkish Kurds are residing contiguously in these areas. So Turkish forces entered where? In these territories of Syria to push the Kurds of this region back. And US said this is the invasion against Syria. And this time India also criticized Turkey. Stop interfering in our issue. It is an internal affair of India, Article 370. You see what you have done in Syria. It's an invasion against a sovereign state. Now, when Turkey entered into Syria and started using violence against the Kurds of Syria to push the Kurds back, Russia intervened, and Russia decided to send its forces here so that peace can prevail. So Russian political presence and influence has increased manifold in Syria since Arab Spring. Okay, Russian presence and influence has increased in this region. So if today, if anyone will ask you, what is the reason, what is the issue of Kurdistan, why there is violence prevails against Kurds? Okay, so now I hope you can answer the things. Who is Hezbollah? Why Hezbollah? Why Iran wants to have a Shia axis? Why Iran wants to protect the regime of Assad? Because there's a Shia axis prevails now. Shias, though here are Shias, but these Shias are pro-US, and Iran wants pro-Iranian faction in power. Assad is pro-Iran and Hezbollah is pro-Iran. So Iran have a Shia axis. Okay. Another issue which is going on is issue of Houthi civil war in Yemen. Now, totally opposite prevails. What was going on in Syria, totally opposite prevails in Yemen. Shias are in majority while Sunnis are in power. And Houthis also started a violent struggle against the government of Yemen. So again, not an elected leadership of Yemen, but Saudi supports the government of Yemen with the help of US. Now, it is not suppression of democracy in Yemen, because majority are fighting against the minority Sunni leadership of Yemen. US never supported Houthis. Who supports Houthis? Iran, which is seen as support to terrorism in West Asia. Now, Houthis are majority in Yemen who are fighting to acquire the political control of Yemen, fighting against the government of Yemen, which is under the control of Sunnis with the support of Saudi and US. And Iran support Houthis, which is seen as support of to terrorism. They consider Houthi organization as a terrorist group. So last year there was an attack on the Saudi refineries by a missile, which according to Saudi government was by Houthis, and this missile was given to them by Iran. Okay, so support to Houthis is seen as support to terrorism. Third thing is Israel. Now Israel, details kal bataunga. Israel is in a state of war with Hamas. Hamas, follower of Wahhabism, a group of Arab Palestinians who is in a state of war. Their objective is to eliminate Israel from world map. Okay. So Hamas, a political militia, a political entity with its own armed wing, is in a state of war with Israel. There are two political groups of Palestinians. One is PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Second is Hamas. PLO is seen as a legitimate political group of Palestinians. Hamas is seen as a terrorist group of Palestinians. Whosoever will support Hamas will be seen as a support to terrorism. Okay. Hamas, organization of Sunni Arabs. Hamas supported by Hezbollah. Now Hezbollah is an organization of Shia Arabs, but support Hamas on the name of Arab unity, hatred against Jews. And Hezbollah is an ally of Iran. So nuclear weapon in the hand of Iran is an existential threat for Israel. So Hamas, Hezbollah unity on the name of Arab unity, hatred for Judaism. So anyone who will support Hamas will be seen as support to terror. And at one point of time, I told you Saddam stood for Arab unity, and Saddam hated against the Jews, and Saddam supported the violent struggle of Arab Palestinians against Israel. Okay. Saddam invaded Kuwait, 89, and Saddam started supporting the violent struggle of Arab Palestinians against Israel. That's why for many Arabs, Saddam was an Arab nationalist, not a terrorist, who stood for the unity of Arab world. Because Arabs see Israel, the creation of Israel, as an act of neo-imperialism, because according to them, these territories belongs to Arab, and who brought Jews here and has given these territories in the hands of Jews? West. Okay. The way they created Pakistan here in South Asia to have their military bases in this region. Similarly, they created Israel in West Asia to have the political control over West Asian territories, because Arab world was closer to Soviet Union, because Arab world also faced colonialism. That's why India was much closer to Arab world. And India recognized Israel, but never started diplomatic ties till 90s with Israel. This was the reason, according to many. But right wing always wanted to have good ties with Israel. Because according to right wing, when Congress accepted partition here itself, when a country has been created on the name of religion, what issue we have to recognize a country who has also been created on the name of a religion? Muslim League was adamant on partition here on the name of religion, but Muslim League was against the partition of Palestine on the name of religion in West Asia. कुछ समझ आया? कुछ थोड़ा बहुत? पता नहीं अभी मुझे, I'm not sure. I'll ask few questions, then I'll be sure. Okay, so one thing, Israel Hamas. Second thing, Israel is in a state of war with Syria on the issue of Golan Heights, the area which was acquired by Israel in 1967 war, which according to Syria, or which according to Arabs has been acquired through violence. Okay, Last year, Trump agreed to Trump said that US is seeing Golan belongs to Israel. So this statement of Trump was highly criticized by the Arab world, because according to them, Golan is a disputed issue which still needs to be solved. And US said we are seeing Golan as a part of Israel. Golan Height is very important for the state of Israel for its water security. Okay, it will dry down if it will not have a control over Golan, and Israel can't trust Arab states because of the hatred which prevails. So Israel acquired Golan. So still there is a war going on in Golan between the forces of Assad and Israeli forces. And who supports the Assad forces there? Iran and Hezbollah. Another area of tension between Israel and Iran. Hezbollah supports on the name of Arab unity, and Iran supports because of the hatred against Israel and to increase its Shia axis in this region. So Golan war is going on. It's like POK region in India, here in South Asia. So war is going on in Golan, and the forces of Assad, Iran, and Hezbollah is there, who are fighting with the forces of Israel. Now, last year, Israel, there was a violent conflict in which Israel killed many soldiers of Iran. Okay, and Iran thought Russia is our ally in this region. Russia was supporting Assad. Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah were together to support Assad. So Iran thought Russia will support us in this objective, or Russia will support us against Israel, and will do something because Israel has escalated the conflict, and due to which many soldiers have been killed. The day this assault took place, on that day, Netanyahu was in Moscow only. Okay, and Russia refused to do anything against Israel. This shows Russia's presence here is only for the protection of its strategic interest. Russia does not want to involve itself in Arab-Jews conflict. So Russia outrightly not coming in support of Iran, and US tensions with Iran, sanctions on Iran, and Russia is not supporting Iran the way Iran is expecting. The reason for the drift of Iran towards Pakistan, China. And Iran has agreed to join OBOR, and drift of Iran towards China is a threat for India because Iran is a strategic ally. Chabahar will lose our access to Afghan and further to Central Asia. Okay, so drift of Iran towards Pakistan, China is a threat for India. So this reason why India expects from US, do not impose too much sanctions on Iran. This will further drift Iran towards China, and it will going to undermine our influence in Central Asia. And US wants India to have a bigger presence in this region. Once NATO will withdraw, after the withdrawal of NATO from Afghan, there will be a vacuum, and US expect India to fill that vacuum. According to India, how will do that? If you will drift Iran towards China more. Okay. So for India, balancing US and Iran is becoming more and more difficult. So अगर exam में आता है, major geopolitical challenges or challenges in front of our foreign policy, one of the challenges, balancing US and Iran is becoming more and more difficult. US is important, very important in our scheme of things, and Iran is also very important. Iran is a strategic ally of India. Okay, you will understand more once I'll discuss the dynamics of Central Asia. Done. I guess many of you have attended, those who have attended GS earlier will be able to better understand these dynamics. How many of you in the class who have already attended the GS lecture on West Asia? There are few students? Okay. Just go to your study material. and see, there will be few handouts which have been uploaded for you. The West Asia. Read these handouts. Today's you have to do that. Especially the 6th, the last battle of Idlib, the Russian game in Syria, and about Syria. The handouts on Israel, you just skip them. Read these 3. Israel. Once I'll discuss Israel Palestine, then then I'll tell you to go through these handouts too. So for the time being, first you should go through this Idlib, the final frontier, then last battle, about Syria, and Russian game in Syria. So Russia is here to protect its own interest, not to entangle itself in Arab-Jewish rivalry. And Russia is able to bring a rift in NATO. अगर कोई आपसे आज पूछता है Russia is able to bring rift in NATO, I hope you can understand why Turkey is tilting towards Russia, because of the US support for Kurds. US supported Kurds for against whom? Islamic State. But master stroke. So Putin understands the dynamics of geopolitics very well, and already having strong control over power does not have to justify its policy to the Russians, not a democracy. Okay, that's why these authoritarian leaders are anti-democracy, because in democracy you have to deliberate a lot. You have to listen to the views of even those who have no understanding of the dynamics. Okay, so Putin outsmarted US by acting assertively, proactively. Trump, basically a businessman, do not understand the dynamics of geopolitics that well. Basically a narcissist, according to many scholars. The Trump basically a narcissist, okay, who do not understand the dynamics of politics well. Given statements like this, I can mediate on the issue of Kashmir between India and Pakistan. Arabs and Jews should look towards me for an amicable solution. I'll mediate and I'll solve everything. Do not understanding the dynamics of power politics. Okay, flip-flop in his statements, flip-flop in his policy, eliminate Taliban. Okay, directly negotiate with Taliban. No consistency in his policies. Now we have to see how Biden will going to deal with these issues. So when US lifted sanctions from Iran, okay, so once sanctions lifted, Iran economy came out of sanctions. Iran started giving economic support. Iran started giving increased its economic support for its proxies in West Asia. When we say proxies, Houthis, Hezbollah. The reason why Israel and Saudi was continuously pressurizing the US administration to bring back Iran again under sanctions. And when Trump came to power, Trump decided to come out of JCPOA and bring Iranian economy back under sanctions. But which, according to Iran, is against the rule-based world order, and many European countries never liked the decision of US to come out of JCPOA unilaterally. And right now, I hope you are reading newspapers, negotiations have again started on that aspect. And Iran yesterday itself has allowed the officials of IAEA, okay, for inspection of its nuclear power plants. So Iran is again looking towards what? We are ready to comply with the notions of with the norms of JCPOA if sanctions will be uplifted from Iranian economy. Even Iran took that case to ICJ. ICJ, okay, they came up with the verdict that US has done it. US can't impose unilateral sanctions. It is a hegemony of US on Iran. Then the president of US, Trump, said ICJ judges can't dictate their terms on US president. US president has the authority to punish the judges of ICJ itself. Okay, so go through these handouts. Not directly, Aditya, but Hamas, Hezbollah are in hand. and Iran supports Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran, आप ये समझ लो. Iranian forces ही support करती हैं, train करती हैं Hezbollah fighters को. आदित्य, just a minute. Ria, Houthis are Shia. Yes. Houthis are Shia. Neha, fresh sir? क्या ये fresh? Neha? Kurdis are Asim. Kurds. Asim will answer this question tomorrow. Why Kurds are being supported? Okay, we'll answer this question tomorrow. Keep this question with you. Rightly you have asked. What is observer status and dialogue partner? See, observer status means having access to the agencies of that particular organization, like Palestine having observer status in UN. So Palestine now have access to UN agencies without voting right. Once you have a voting right, you are a full-time member. Dialogue right now, dialogue is going on to give you an observer status. Dialogue is going on to make you a member of that organization. So dialogue being initiated without any status. Now, what is your status? Observer status. Now, what is your status? You are a member. Done? Ria? Ha, Neha, what it means, fresh, sir?
हेलो सर. सर बुकलेट से रिलेटेड पूछ रही थी. फ्लैश डाली थी क्या? ये पूछ रही.
बुकलेट्स नहीं है, हैंडआउट्स हैं.
ओके.
New handouts. Okay, just go through these handouts first. We'll continue our discussion tomorrow. And okay, so things which are important from your examination point of view are reasons for US-Iran tensions, reasons for Israel-Iran tensions. These things are important. What is the agenda of India in West Asia? What is the agenda of India's Look West policy? What kind of ties we have at present with Israel, India-Israel, dimensions of India-Israel and India-Iran relationship. These things are important from your mains point of view. But as an aspirant of UPSC and especially being a student of Pol Science optional, you should have a basic understanding, awareness of all these things. Who are political militia? What is the issue of Kurdistan? Why hatred against Jews? Why hatred against Kurds? हाँ, कुछ और भी पूछा था किसी ने. Is Turks different from Shias? And yet again, see, Zahab has given a right answer. It's a ethnic identity, religious sect. Okay, Turk can be a Shia, Turk can be a Sunni, Turk can be a Christian, Turk can be a Hindu too. आपने हिंदुइज्म अडॉप्ट कर लिया, रहते आप टर्की में हो. So Turkish Christian, okay, identity. Like Persian, Afghani can be a Hindu or not? Yes. Okay. Then we'll continue tomorrow. Bye, take care.